tonight, the F in Flash is for feminism.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
So good to be here again. We're talking The Flash, episode 5, Girls Night Out. My name is Drew Jones, and I'm going to throw it over to my girl.
Hey, this is Chauncey K. You can catch me on Twitter at Miss Chauncey KR.
So, this might be my favorite episode that we've had in a minute. I feel like...
The parties were going on.
Yeah.
All night.
It was...
just like...
we have so much to get into tonight. So...
Like
a jam. So it's the bachelorette parties tonight.
Yes.
The turn up for Barry and Iris, and
it was definitely a turn up going on.
Definitely something.
Night to remember for both parties.
For sure. Let's get into the boys.
Yeah. Boys
night out. So we start with them having this cute night in.
Yeah, it started as sort of a like quiet night. Cisco seemed to be leading it off, which made sense because Cisco would probably, being Barry's best friend, would kind of be the lead on it. And he kind of had this, thing going on where they would watch like baby, photos and
baby
videos.
Barry.
And I just want to give a shout out to the fact that that Iris and Barry had their little West Allen wedding back in the day. So they've been married since childhood. So much for that they were siblings theory.
Never challenge West Allen.
Never. Oh, I like that. Yeah. Ooh. So that was going on, and that was cool. And then of course Ralph. I'm kind of digging Ralph.
He's messy.
He's so messy.
He's messy, and I love the kind of unintentional chaos he's bringing. But so Ralph busts in.
Yeah. And he basically, they weren't trying to get $50 steaks. He said, I can get it for $4.99 with napkins, which I
don't know why, but the second they said that, I was like, they're going to a strip club.
Exactly. And just with Ralph's character, since like even the last episode, we were like, okay, this guy, he probably frequents, and we found out that he was the #1 customer in the strip club they went to, the Golden Booty.
The Golden Booty.
Which was what it was called. As Joe said, there was nothing golden except maybe the stripper, the exotic dancers. Costumes. That was the only thing that was golden in there.
Uniforms, if you will.
Yeah.
There's so many things about Boys Night that I just love. Shout out to the writers for all these little like one-liners we got. Wienerfest cracked me up when
when Ralph called it.
Ralph walked in, he's like, this is a Wienerfest.
Yeah. He's been a very, so far, I'm still kind of skeptical on how long he'll last on Team Flash, but so far he's been his character is sort of eased in. He's been that snark that we've kind of, I guess we haven't, had too much before, going on. And he's been bouncing off of Cisco a bit and now with Harrison and stuff. So I kind of like his addition to it. He wasn't invited to the bachelor party, but it wouldn't have been the kind of night it turned out to be without him.
Yeah.
So I was digging that.
We got to experience Drunk Barry.
Yes. I'm the Flash.
He was so hyped up.
Crying over chicken wings.
I kind of want to know what, the elixir is that, Cisco makes to get Drunk Barry. Because, is it a Four Loko? It
has to be pretty strong.
Yeah.
Because Barry, as we know, can't, really get drunk, except with, what Cisco has come up with for him. You kind of saw that happening, that they were going to do this thing where there was probably he was crying into his chicken wings, crying about the Titanic. Drunk Barry.
We've all been there about the Titanic,
Yeah. Yeah. It was pretty interesting just to see that, because also there was so much going on, even with the boys' night. Where there was stuff going on, as we know, but Barry was sort of not having to be the designated superhero, which was also a very cool term that Cisco came out. He's like, I'll be the designated superhero. So Barry was allowed to be drunk and kind of just not have to worry about everyone else's.
this episode made me, because for a while, Barry, like, to be honest, Barry was kind of getting on my nerves just because of the, like, I have the weight of the world on my shoulders.
Exactly.
Like, I mean, obviously he's the Flash. It's very hard. But, like, it was sort of this, like, victimized hero type thing where it's like, you don't understand. It's like, boy, you have this whole team who's backing you up. It was
the man pain trope that we've seen on a lot of shows. Exactly. And he was definitely doing it up until this season where they've kind of, like, gone back to season 1 Barry, which has been nice, you know?
Tonight's episode was definitely a lovely, like, reminder of why we love Barry, why we root for Barry, why Barry's Barry.
Yeah, know? Exactly. And I mean,
go right ahead.
No, I was just going to say, and someone just said it in the chat, which was very pointed out, one part of this boys' night was missing was, as you were saying earlier, before we even got in here, was one of our boys, Wally, was not here for the bachelor party.
Y'all know I miss my boy Wally.
So it would have been interesting to kind of see that dynamic too, especially with Ralph around now. Yeah. Like what kind of dynamic that would have been with him being there too. Mm-hmm. So Wally wasn't there. That was the one kind of drawback from it.
Yeah.
And with boys' night, but it was nice that Barry kind of got a little bit of time off, and they didn't have their phones. Well, they didn't lose their phones. They had to give their phones up. So that made it so they weren't able to, be outside of themselves.
Yeah.
And then we got kind of a soap opera twist.
We did.
Soapy twist.
Yeah.
Within boys' night.
Jasmine.
Right? Joni.
That's not your government name, girl. It's Joni. Comes up on stage and Joe's
shaking her little tail feather.
Yeah, you used to watch the life kind of drain out of Joe.
That caught me off guard. I wasn't expecting that. I don't know, maybe because it's like such a superhero show, and even though we have those like interpersonal dynamics, I just was not expecting this sort of thing where someone like the twist. I mean, I kind of noticed when she told Cecile, like, oh, I'm not gonna do it. I thought actually that was gonna turn into a thing that maybe she didn't want to be around Iris or something like that. And it turned out she was a stripper.
You know what I thought, just because it's the Flash. I thought she might be a metahuman. I thought we might see her be a metahuman or something.
That would have been an interesting twist too.
Well, the stripper works too.
Yeah, I mean, it works for, and it was also very interesting the explanation they have her give Joe, because also once again when she came on stage, I was like, okay, this is gonna go into. And I'm like, Cecile isn't hard up for money, so why does doesn't she go to college? So it was kind of interesting that she gave this explanation, like, I am exploring the ways of feminism, #feminism, which we see throughout this episode, and like how I can be a strong, independent woman and be a stripper, which is gets into this whole thing about strippers being sort of like exploited. Workforce. So I thought that was interesting.
Which, go ahead, Flash writers, for getting woke and talking about some real stuff.
There was some, throughout this whole episode, there was some themes where you kind of saw that they've been paying attention to what people have been saying online a little bit. And I thought this was one of those aspects where the boys and Barry was allowed to be kind of the, not side character, but he didn't have to be the central.
They were sidelined a little.
Yeah. And he was allowed to be the comic relief.
Yeah.
Which was, great for this episode. I mean, this was the one episode where we saw no one suit up. No one suited up this episode. As they said before, that this would be a non-suit up episode, and they stuck to that.
Which I appreciated. So boys' night ends in them getting into a bar fight.
No one cared that Joe was a cop.
Yeah.
He was like, everyone stop, I'm a cop. And it was like, no. And then we also, throughout that, saw, a little bit of, Joe kind of going through his melancholy, which, or whatever. But also, Harrison kind of kept walking off, kind of talking to the exotic dancers about their life and stuff. And Ralph didn't seem to care.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cisco wasn't liking it at all.
No, Cisco wasn't feeling it. Cisco is a gem in his own right. So we get them chilling in jail. We have a nice little heart-to-heart with Barry and Joe.
Yeah.
Which we'll get to in a sec. But yeah, not a planned night, but I feel like a very Bachelor-esque night.
Yeah, I mean, they got into some debauchery, and they ended up in jail, which kind of, as Ralph kept saying, you're welcome.
Yeah.
In terms of this kind of night that could have gone very different.
Exactly.
And we also, I think, in this little showcase, got to see a bit more of Ralph's dynamic with the team in a very natural way. Kind of like, he just shows up, he starts to be part of things, and you kind of see how he's meshing, if not, or more so clashing with the rest of them, which is, you know, a nice little thing. And they didn't have to, none of them fought off any bad guys.
Yeah.
So it was interesting, that dynamic too, where all the boys were kind of not in the center plot.
Yeah. No bad guys, just alcohol poisoning.
Yeah. And Barry's gonna be hungover till his wedding day.
For sure. I can't,
Yeah, I can't imagine the kind of shot that was.
Like, that you have to take if you're the Flash.
Exactly.
So, boys' night, kind of a success. Girls' night, I already knew I was hyped about girls' night the second I saw Felicity.
Yeah.
She's she's one of the best characters, in my opinion, in the Flash, Arrow, you know, DC universe. She's just her own, she's special. She's the Cisco of the Arrow.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's always, I like the fact that they seem to have created this friendship between Iris and Felicity. And, you know, one of the things I feel like Iris doesn't have, and they kind of addressed that. That was once again one of those things with this episode where I felt like the writers were kind of paying attention to what people say online.
Yeah.
Because where are Iris's friends outside of, you know, Caitlin, which, you know, we get into the fact that they didn't really consider themselves past work friends. So it's like Felicity showing up. It's like, oh, Felicity is her friend. Yeah. I'm not gonna say I'm not the biggest fan of Felicity. I don't really, I don't pay attention as much to her in terms of like the Arrowverse, but I do like her dynamic with Iris.
Same. I think they have a very, it's very, like, Iris is very serious. I feel like Felicity kind of brings out the fun. She's Iris is Cisco. Like I said earlier, she kind of, like, lightens Iris up the way that Cisco lightens Barry up.
Yeah, she has that tech sense. Like we saw with this episode where it started off where, you know, Felicity was organizing the girls' night and was, you know, pushing for, like, going out with the tiara and everything like that, and allowing, because what we saw, you know, up until Barry coming back was that Iris had been the leader of the Flash team, and and we saw even with this episode that she still is, but you know that can put a lot on a person. So to have Felicity come in and be like, you know, let's have some fun and pushing for that was nice. It was a nice dynamic.
Yeah. So we see Caitlin, you know, looking for a plane ticket. Yeah. Not to peace out.
Caitlin forever with the drama.
Always with the drama, girl. Like, dang.
She's always going through something.
Always.
Guy trouble who ends up being evil, which we also saw this episode. I guess she had something with that guy, the snake-eyed guy, which was, I'm like, girl, you got some bad taste.
You need to get that together. Where's Julian?
Right?
Bring Julian back.
Oh, my gosh.
So they talk her into going.
Yeah.
They go to dinner. And it's a pretty chill dinner until the henchman with his creepy eye shows up. And first of all, he doesn't even say anything, which is what really creeped me out. He just kind of like lurked forward, and they thought he was a stripper.
Which was really funny. Like, I was like, you guys get a stripper. And then Felicity's like, well, he's doing a bad job. And then they're like, you guys into some freaky stuff because his eye came out.
And Birth was one of the best lines that we've gotten from the Flash was, take off your pants, not your eye.
I think you said something about a new...
oh, yeah, that might be my new Tinder profile.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's perfect.
Yeah, take off your pants, not your eye.
Yeah, the words to live by.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that happens, and then, you know, they basically have to deal with the fact... And this was also cool. Up until, like, you know, Caitlin goes in to kill her Frost, the girls were kind of taking care of it, you know, in a way. I mean, they didn't have any powers. And he's got a snake coming out of his skull.
They were in 6-inch heels. They were doing something. I was impressed. I'd like to see Barry in 6-inch heels.
Exactly. Doing what he did. Doing what Iris did. And then, you know, Frost comes out and then of course it's revealed like, oh, you know, Frost never totally went away. Which was, you know, an interesting thing. And, you know, it starts to unravel with this idea of, like, you know, Caitlin having, once again, kind of kept this secret from everyone. And then the question comes up of, you know, how do they deal with this? Amunet, who we got to see, you know. But, yeah, so the girls, like, you know, Killer Frost is like, you know, basically I need to kill Amunet. So I like the dynamic that you know, Iris and Cecile and Felicity kind of had a little meeting and saying, you know, Cecile, I was happy that they all weren't like totally gung ho to help out Frost, because I was glad that someone, if even if it was Cecile, brought up the fact like she kidnapped me last year.
She took me.
Like there's something wrong here, and I thought that was realistic, you know, because at times, sometimes on shows where something like that happens, it could be swept under the rug and everything is great. So it was great to have Cecile kind of point out that, okay, Killer Frost has some issues. Are we really going to just? And it was nice that they had it so that Iris was like, she's our friend. We're not just going to abandon her, which is very much a Barry sort of thing, which shows the West Allen dynamic.
No man left behind.
Yeah. So with them deciding that, although I kind of felt like they were going to go into the club and follow her, like, what are you going to do? And they're still in their bachelorette.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, girls.
So they follow her into the club.
Yeah.
And we start noticing all of these people around them are like inhaling this weird glowing like
tube,
like little
blue tube.
And we're kind of seeing everyone's like in a daze, and we're not really sure what's going on. We're trying to figure out where Killer Frost is right now. And so we see Killer Frost with Amunet, and there is the Weeper, which is the newest metahuman.
Yeah.
And he's chained
up. It was very
up.
sad.
It was very sad.
It was very weepy.
He just looks so defenseless.
It was, I mean, I got some questions about that, because my question is, I mean, I guess we'll figure out if he turns back up, since, you know, as we saw with the end of the episode, but, you know, it was like, okay, he's chained up. Why not just try? I mean, if Amunet thinks she's going to make a lot of money with this guy, why not just try to convince him, hey, can you cry on cue?
Yeah.
Like, why does she have to chain him up?
Why you gotta beat old boy?
I mean, I guess it was for a dramatic effect. I mean, everything doesn't have to make logical sense in superhero verse, but it was like, okay, this guy's chained up. They have to hit him to make him cry. It's like, just put some onions or something under it. Like I know it's for dramatic effect, but like,
watch The Notebook. Like, come on.
I don't know. It didn't make as much sense to me, that part of it. I was like, I think there's a better way you can get the tears. I guess this was supposed to like evoke some kind of emotion.
But Amunet's also like, I don't think she's a very rational person. I think she likes that kind of stuff. Which, okay, yes, she's a villain, but I do kind of like her.
I like the performance for sure. I thought it was nice and fun. There was like certain moments where there was definitely like, you got the feeling, okay, she's deadly, but she's also kind of like, I've been doing this for a while.
Yeah.
She's a boss lady.
Yeah. Going on with the whole like feminism theme.
Yeah.
That we're dealing with.
We had a woman villain this episode, which was also awesome. Yeah. You know?
And she wasn't a villain who was like based off of revenge or like, you know, she was just bad because she's bad.
Yeah. It wasn't like, oh, I've got some sob story or something like that.
My boyfriend broke up with me, like whatever.
It's like, I like money. Like, I want to be rich and powerful, and this is how I do it. And it was also interesting where Amunet and Killer Frost were about to go at it again. And we're about to see like this face off between them, and you know, Iris steps out. Iris with no powers steps out between these two metahumans, and it's like, hey, let's not do this. And like, Frost, let's go. I mean, that took some guts, because at first I was like, what, girl, what are you doing? Like, what are you gonna do right now? You know, in the crosshairs of these two metahumans about to go at it. But and you know, they Amunet let them walk away. But I thought that was a telling moment, too, that she was able to kind of step in and tell Frost, like, let's go.
Absolutely. So then we kind of get we get them gathered again. We get Caitlin back.
Yeah.
And
bruised and battered.
And we figure out where old girl Amunet is with the Weeper. And she's selling them off to, I guess, like the highest bidder.
Yeah.
And once again, Iris, you know, being Iris, not needing a man, but having a man, just decides she's going to go in there guns a-blazing with Felicity and pregnant Cecile and just see what happens.
And, you know, that was pretty cool, too, because it was showing, you know, her, no, okay, we can't get Barry. We don't know where any of them are, but that doesn't mean we're completely helpless. That doesn't mean we leave this until the next day. Yeah. You know, we need to save the Weeper. We need to save, you know, this guy.
Yeah.
Also, shout out to Cecile trying to give the henchman a little bit of a name. Also, she's Medusa Man or something.
Yeah, that is not Cisco approved.
Yeah, Felicity totally vetoed that. Yeah. But yeah, so they were even giving names to villains this episode. Yeah. So it was, I mean, it was cool that they went in. Once again, it was one of those things where I'm watching and I'm like, okay, what exactly are y'all going to be able to do?
Like, I love this girl power, but, like, I also love safety.
Yeah. I don't want anything to happen to Iris. We had a whole last season of, save Iris, save the world. Like, you know, heroes reference, save cheerleaders, save the world. I was like, I don't want to do this again. I want you to live, girl. I want you to your wedding day. But once again, it just also shows that Iris is not the type of character that's going to let the fact that she's not one of the metas stop her from being a hero. Yeah. Which was, you know, this was definitely, you know, a showcase of Iris's character. Because I know there's been discussion about, you know, when is Iris going to be able to kind of be solo or be the journalist and things like that. But I think we're seeing in this season what they've shown, and particularly in this episode, that very much what defines her is her role in Team Flash. Yeah. You know, and we saw that with her plan to go into the warehouse, which didn't totally work out.
But A for effort.
Yeah.
But luckily, old girl Caitlin comes in there after, you know, being like, I need to stay back and blah. Which, first of all, Caitlin, we knew you weren't going to stay back. Yeah. Okay. Nice try.
Which was nice that she didn't. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, very nice. But, yeah, Killer Frost comes through, does that crazy igloo
and they figure out the magnet thing while doing that, which took that brain power, Felicity, and even Iris kind of came up with it first, I think, where she was like, you know, something about the metal. I think it was what was the name of the metal? That alloy, some sort element alloy. Yeah. I wrote it down, but yeah. So, and them figuring out that metal could control it, which, you know, goes to I don't know. I guess we'll talk about it. Like, I was a little underwhelmed by Amunet's powers.
Yeah. it was kind of cool, but at the same time, I was like,
if a giant magnet can kind of, I don't know.
Yeah. Seems like there should have been something that a little more complicated for as big and bad as she is.
Yeah.
But I feel like I thought it was cool that we got kind of a Marvel reference by Felicity calling Caitlin the Bruce Banner. Because what I think is interesting is, I don't know if people have been keeping up with the Marvel movies, but we kind of see Bruce Banner, like, being more in control of the Hulk, almost. Like, the Hulk, I feel like they were able to have, like, conversations and whatnot with the Hulk, and kind of, and I feel like as this episode progressed, we kind of saw Killer Frost and Caitlin slowly start to become, it not be so extreme of this is Caitlin, this is Killer Frost. Yeah. I feel like Killer Frost, like, started having that, like, conscience again. Yeah. Kind of like
towards the end. And that's also a question of how they're going to keep doing that, because when Felicity did say, like, you're like the Hulk or whatever, which is also interesting that they do the Marvel reference on the DC show, but it was this idea of so Caitlin sort of has these two consciousness going on, and what that means in terms of her life. You know, is it all going to be, is it just the fact that Amunet is after her, or is she going to keep looking for a cure? Because it's kind of like there's two beings now who probably want two different things. You know, just seeing that, and Iris, you know, being very supportive of that, but it's also kind of like, okay, she is still sort of a liability. Yeah. So even though now she's maid of honor. Yeah. Which, and that was also a question, because I mean, I checked out people online talking about it and whatnot. Some people kind of felt like Felicity was slighted in that sense. It was like, okay, Felicity planned all this, and now we're just going to chuck out that friendship, and, you know, Caitlin kind of gets the pity maid of honor designation. I don't know how you feel about that, because
I kind of agree, just because I feel like, I don't know, we've never really gotten any type of relationship between them until this episode. And while I like where the writers are going in the sense of, like, we want to really form a friendship with them, maid of honor kind of seems like
0 to 60.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Maybe Flower Girl, you know?
Flower Girl. Ice girl. She did offer to do an ice sculpture.
I was like,
and those aren't cheap.
I was like, there's a thought. That could be something. But maid of honor, I was like, that's a little extreme.
It's a bit much. I mean, and this is what I was saying with the idea of their characters, the writers kind of paying attention to that, because I think there was talk in the, the Flash fandom of, Caitlin and Iris being the two women of Team Flash, and how they didn't necessarily have that dynamic, that friendship dynamic. And like, it took Iris having a character on a different show, being BFS with a character on a different show, Felicity, and it's like, well, Caitlin's right here. What's the issue? Yeah. Because, there's that whole Snowberry versus West Allen, weirdness of ships and everything, West Allen. But, there is this question of, I think the writers try to address that tonight. The idea of, they're not friends. Why aren't they? Why are they not? Why are they just work friends? Why hasn't, Iris and Caitlin been able to hang out outside of it? Yeah. So hopefully it won't just fall off.
Yeah, hopefully this is something that is kept up, just because it was weird for a very long time. It seemed like they both were developing relationships with everyone on the team but one another. And I was like, how are we not getting this, like, Caitlin, Iris?
Yeah. I mean, it's the dynamic of women on shows sometimes, though. It's like, we have the Barry and Cisco. They had their little friendship drama and stuff last season, and we're seeing them stronger and back as ever this season. But then it's like, where do the women relationships get developed? And I thought, because this was #feminism episode, I think the writers were trying to address that a bit. And I thought they did a good job. Once again, like people in the chat are saying, that they somewhat fast-tracked the friendship to do the maid of honor thing, but maybe it kind of had to happen, because, I mean, that was a problem that kind of needed to be addressed. Yeah. Even though, I mean, I think it's kind of quick to do it all in one episode. Maybe they should have built it up a bit, but...
we'll take it. We'll take it.
Yeah. Flower girl.
Flower girl.
That was yours.
I'm still standing by that. Flower girl. But no, I was very glad to see kind of a vulnerable moment between the two of them, and see with the theme of feminism, it was just very open and just, supporting, and we're not super similar, but I respect you, you respect me, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And I'm very interested to see, I don't know, I feel like Iris has also kind of a hold on Caitlin Snow that we have. I feel like the only time we've seen Killer Frost, I feel like the only time we've seen Killer Frost kind of step back and, like, chill out was with Cisco. But I feel like it was even more so with Iris tonight. Yeah,
when she brought the boys in, and... she was like, here's Killer Frost, and Cisco was like, I'm tired, let's do this tomorrow. I'm tired. It's like, I don't want to do this tonight. And, Iris, like, she looked at her, and she changed back. Yeah. And if nothing else, the interesting thing is, I think with Cisco, like you were just saying, usually Cisco appeals to Caitlin, but in this episode, we saw that Iris was actually talking to Frost more. Yeah. And that there was moments where her and Frost were sort of bonding, which is, I think, good, because it's like, it's not like they're treating, or Iris in particular wasn't treating Frost like this villain being to get rid of, but like, okay, you two are a part of each other, and just like Caitlin's my friend, I care about you too. Yeah. And I thought that was good that they kind of showed that Frost kind of begins to trust Iris. Yeah, I agree, and I'm very interested to see this season play out with Killer Frost and Iris and Caitlin and Cisco, and I kind of like that we're making Caitlin and Killer Frost two separate people. And I'm not completely set on that. I think that might cause some issues, but
Iris even said something about you don't have to choose, like you can be both. And I feel like that's kind of going to be the key to dealing with Killer Frost, is I feel like if we don't acknowledge them as two separate people, we're going to just get one. So like, I feel like there's going to be some control where Killer Frost is Caitlin, Caitlin is Killer Frost.
Yeah, I hope so.
I hope so too, just because she's been struggling, like every step of the way.
The struggle's real for Caitlin.
The struggles. We need justice for Caitlin, Killer Frost. We need justice for Joe. We just need y'all to give some of these people a break. Yeah, a break. Speaking of Joe, we see him finally kind of like open up about being freaked out about being a dad.
Yeah. That was cool because in the last episode, he, you know, finally told Barry that he was about to be a dad. Yeah. And so in this episode, we got over the excitement, and now the real fright, the real fear sets in regarding it. It's like, okay, I did all that when I was young, you know, and that was Joe's kind of framework. I did all this when I was young. I raised all these kids when I was young, and now I'm not young. How do I deal with that? And I thought it was interesting that Barry, even in his hungover state, was like, okay, you did all that by yourself, though. Yeah. Now you're not alone.
Yeah, now you've met your, like, equal. Mm-hmm. And I like that we see that Cecil also was like, I'm so glad that you said that because I'm freaked out, too. Yeah.
And it showed their communication as a couple, which is nice. I mean, once again, it shows, like, this episode, it was the episode, although everyone was, you know, doing their hero thing without the mask and everything, but it also showed the interpersonal relationships between them and this idea of kind of focusing on that a little bit. And they've been doing that really well these past episodes. And this one was for Cecile and Joe to kind of have their moment. And you see how in love they are, you know, which is nice.
Which I love.
Yeah.
I love. Don't do anything to them. Flash Riders.
These warnings to they didn't listen to you about Wally though, so
you know what?
Maybe you shouldn't say it because then you'll jinx it.
They just sat in the writer's room. What
did Drew say?
Drew said. Drew Jones from AfterBuzz TV said to. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, in that case, no, I'm just kidding. So yeah, it was really nice to see that like open communication between them and kind of see that whole issue resolved. For now. I mean, I think one of the things they did too, I mean, it's still going to be there. There's still going to be issues. And who knows what's, you know, going to go on with the baby, if it's going to, you know, what if maybe it might be affected. I kind of, you know, it's one of those things where it's like anything going, is she going to have a normal pregnancy? Who knows? So, I guess we'll see how that happens. But, I mean, they're not out of the woods yet because this is a superhero show. But it's nice that the foundation was laid this episode of we're not scared about being parents because we love each other. Exactly. And we've got so much love surrounding us. Exactly. Which leads us, speaking of love, the opposite of love is the thinker. No, it's not. But I didn't know how else to segue to that.
A for effort.
A for effort. The second byline of tonight, feminism, and then A for effort. So we don't really see him at all.
No, and that's what's been happening every episode. He comes in at the end like this all played out exactly how I wanted it.
Like everything just fails. Like they catch them out. And he's like, good. Right. That's what I wanted.
He comes in at the end of every episode like, yes, exactly. And it's like, all right.
It's like when you're playing like. That's like when I play like Monopoly with my family and I lose. I'm like, yes. I was letting you win.
You're doing your thinker impersonation.
Yeah, they're like, girl, bye. So yeah, we see the Weeper like escaping because he did kind of like abruptly leave Iris and them. Like when they were like, we're gonna help you, he was like,
get away from me.
Yeah, he was like, nah.
He was not very appreciative.
Which I'm kind of interested in his backstory just because a lot of the time all the time, the powers have to do with who they are. And seeing as his was like this love drug, I'm very interested to see his backstory. But so we see him, you know, jumping over a fence and booking it, and then he gets like blasted by the thinker, and the thinker's like, I'm not done with you yet.
Yeah, and then and then the question is what's gonna happen to him now. So I mean, obviously, even the Weeper. I guess what we're seeing is that all of the metahumans from that day when Barry came back are connected to the Thinker's plot and the Thinker's plan. And so I guess that's probably going to be that sort of thing for this whole season. So it's interesting because what role can the Weeper play in the bigger plot line? I don't know. Like he has tears that cause like drug things.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we did see how his like power on a wide scale can affect a lot of people just from like the club scene. We've seen how they all. So I'm wondering if maybe it's going to do something like that, or if his powers are going to be used to hone in on just Team Flash.
Yeah.
I'm pretty.
I mean, because it was kind of like a rave drug, right? Like metahuman style, right? So it was this idea that everyone was drinking his tears and kind of being into this haze. So I kind of wonder if the thinkers, like when he went after him in particular, you know, what role he could play in that bigger scheme, if that's mainly his thing. But like you were saying, maybe it's something bigger that he has some kind of control over. But then again, it's like that's been the case with every episode, where you're kind of wondering, how could these metahumans possibly work in this elaborate chess game this guy is playing with Barry that Barry doesn't even know he's in? And we saw that in the beginning of the episode, where Barry was trying to figure out who DeVoe was. You know, and it was interesting that they focused on the 3-month-old baby. And I'm kind of wondering, like, I don't know, like at this point, it's like Clue. Like, I'm just like, every little thing, I'm like filing it away. Yeah,
right now it's like every little detail. It's like you have to pay attention to everything right now that they're saying, because I feel like they're giving us little pieces of what's gonna be the big picture. Yeah, and you just have to take in everything. So it's like the baby thing. I was like, ooh, what is it?
I don't know, but I'm gonna remember you know, that. It's like 3-month-old baby. Maybe that is DeVoe. Like, why would they give this line so much emphasis? You know, so it's kind of fun because they're doing that with this season, where they're very much making us like have to pay attention to every little detail. Like nothing's a throwaway. Yeah, and that's kind of nice because it heightens the game of the viewers. You know, as we see, you know, with everyone kind of wondering what's going on. I mean, I'm also wondering if Amunet plays any sort of role in the Thinkers game, because it was interesting that he went after the Weeper, right? And I was expecting maybe some sort of scene with Amunet. So it was like, why the Weeper? You know, once again, going back to why the Weeper of all people, not Amunet, who seems to be this drug lord, metahuman style, when it comes to the Flash universe.
Yeah, we will see. Very interesting. So I heard you've got some news.
AFTERBUZZ TV news.
Yeah, I do. I have some news and gossip that will go with the Flash, of course. So, all right. So one of the things is, say it ain't so, Wentworth Miller has announced his exit from the CW DC universe. Wentworth Miller, Captain Cold, Leonard Snart himself took to Instagram over the weekend to share some sad news with, you know, fans of the CW DC universe. What he said was, currently shooting some of my final episodes as Captain Cole Leonard Snart. I've had a tremendous time playing this character. It's been an opportunity, an education, and an effing blast. Miller originated his portrayal of Leonard Snart in The Flash's first season as a villain turned frenemy of Team Flash. So that's why it's dear to our hearts that he's not going to be around. And before transitioning to DC's Legends of Tomorrow, where Snart became a reluctant hero. So Miller became a series regular across all Arrow, The Flash, and the Legends of Tomorrow. So I think, he's going to be missed, I think. Yeah. And I'm kind of worried.
I am too.
I'm kind of worried what that means. Like, why isn't he going to be around? Like, what would cause that?
Yeah, I'm wondering how they're going to play out his exit. I hope they leave it where there's a door open for a possible return. Yeah. But, you know,
I'm worried. That's all I'm saying. It's like, if he knows it's his final, how does he know it's his final, right?
Y'all just want to make me sad, so I just don't even trust you.
You can't trust them. You can't trust them. Okay, and in other news, another Law & Order veteran will be joining, or has joined the cast, and we'll be seeing more of him, joining Jesse L. Martin, who is also alumni of the Law & Order set on The Flash. Longtime Law & Order star Richard Brooks will appear in multiple episodes. We saw him earlier of The Flash this season as Iron Heights prison warden Gregory Wolf.
Mad suspicious.
Yeah. Oh, we know, right? If fans remember, we first saw him at the end of this season's second episode. We'll be seeing more of Brooks in episodes to come this season. In the DC comics, you know, one of the things, reason why you got that shady feeling is that Gregory Wolf, in the comics, and like once again, this isn't spoilerish because we don't know if they'll do the same thing. Yeah. Is a metahuman warden of Iron Heights Prison. He is able to cause a muscular spasm in people who are physically close to him, and he usually uses this in the comics against the prisoners. So he's kind of a shady character when it comes to the brutality of those who are in his ward. So we'll see whether or not that'll play out on the show itself. And funny enough, his predecessor, the other warden, was also named Gregory Wolf. So I don't know if that was on purpose that they did that. But yeah, so we'll be seeing more of him. And I'm really excited because he's a really great actor. And we'll be seeing more of him on The Flash in that kind of gray area that he has. And finally, the CW has released a very quick promo of the 4-way crossover everyone is waiting for. The very brief Crisis on Earth promo was put out. It's very brief. It was like...
We fight to protect the people that we love. Crisis on Earth ends. Crossover event starts Monday, November 27th.
Yeah, and in it, we see the Flash, along with Arrow, Supergirl, and others, taking a walk down to Whitehall, with Arrow giving the mini speech, "We fight to protect the people we love." Epic. I'm excited for this.
Yeah,
I'm like, wait, it's like the Christmas present.
It really is. Yeah, I'm like already trying to like figure out just from that 10 seconds like what's going on.
Mm-hmm. And I've kind of heard that, you know, I think another criticism, and once again, I think this is once again with the writers of The Flash, like kind of really paying attention to the community, where there was a question with a lot of the crossovers where people felt like Iris didn't get to play a large part at times, given that she was like the co-woman lead of The Flash. And I think this crossover, we're going to see a lot. I think it was revealed that we're going to see a lot of her.
That's what I like to see.
Which would be nice. A little different, considering also that she's not a superhero. I mean, she's a hero of our hearts, but but
neither is Felicity.
Yeah, and Felicity is all up in it.
All up in it.
I threw a little shade there.
It's all good. It's all good. All right, so predictions.
Your AFTERBUZZ TV predictions.
I was ready for it this time. What do you think is coming up?
Well, I think we saw the preview for next week has it, so we're watching Ralph, such a name, Ralph, with his new suit that Cisco, or his like piece of cotton or whatever that he has that is a suit. So I think we're gonna get another more exploration of him. I don't think we've seen the last of Amunet.
Agreed.
And you know, someone in the chat also was saying, they were telling that, you know, I haven't seen, when I said I was a little bit underwhelmed by Amunet's powers, they said that she does a lot more in the comics, which I have read that she does do a lot. That's why I was somewhat underwhelmed. I was like, is that it? She just controls like rock. So we're supposed to see more. Hopefully we will see more. Hopefully you're right in the chat. So I hope that she'll come back around and we'll see more of it, because the actress is just really awesome to watch. So and I think with Killer Frost, we're going to have to try to figure out, can she, I mean, just to kind of throw it to the Hulk a bit, like that was his turmoil, that's his turmoil, right?
Yeah.
So is this going to be Caitlin's turmoil? Yeah. And I wonder if they're going to explore that. And also, I am waiting for the West Allen wedding.
The wedding.
I want it.
Give me the wedding.
That's what I want.
If we don't get Wally West, I know I keep talking about
He better be there. I kind of hope he's at the wedding. That's my other prediction. Or maybe it's a silent prayer, or not so silent that he will
very loud.
That he will be very loud. That he will be at the wedding too. That we'll see more. We'll see Wally come back.
Yeah. I still have a high suspicion that there's something up with the West baby coming. Like I feel like I'm just, to connect with the Flash twins, I don't know. I just feel like something is there. Maybe.
I'm waiting to see what they name him.
Yeah.
Or her. Because that may be a connection.
Them.
Or them. I don't think she's gonna be the twins. That's Iris's deal. They can't give her the twins.
I don't know, man. Maybe. We'll see.
I hope not. I'd be a little mad.
I'd be a little mad for Joe, just because, like, dang.
Twins? Oh, my gosh.
He just accepted the fact he's going to have one.
There would be a riot online if she was given the twins. As much as people love Cecile, I think people would be like, that's supposed to be Iris. If it happens. I mean, once again, not to get, like, spoilery, but
I definitely think there's something, and I think there's something with the 3-month-old baby that was briefly mentioned.
Yeah.
I don't know, something there just kind of, I was like, they wouldn't just say that for no reason. But as far as, like, up-and-coming things, I don't think we're going to get a crazy metahuman next week, just because we're dealing with Ralph, and it's Ralph.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be something that Ralph can handle. So I'm not expecting, like, a big bad. like an amulet. You know, I'm expecting
I don't
like
think so either.
Yeah, I'm expecting.
It'll probably be something with his backstory, right? Like, we'll get more into who he is and stuff. And that's been interesting about this season, where I feel like some people, like, on Community felt like, oh, these are just filler episodes. But everything, like we've been saying, has connected to something in the end. Like, even stuff that just seems like it's nothing has been part of the larger plot line. So I'm hoping that's the same thing with Ralph this next episode. I like Ralph.
I do, too.
I hope he's not like the red shirt version of the Team Flash where something happens. Like, we always get these red shirts, you know, that come, Star Trek reference, where they come and they die or they go away.
No, I like him. I think he brings a fun little pep to the Flash.
Yeah.
I
really liked it so far. I thought I wouldn't, but I have.
Same. I didn't think I was going to like him, but after tonight, I'm like, you know what? I'll rock with you. I want to see.
Which means he'll probably die.
Yeah.
Because we like him.
Yeah.
Drew jinxed
He'll die, go to another world, another Earth, you know, whatever. Go to a different DC show. It's fine. Well, guys, as usual, sorry, I'm starting off. As usual, it has been a treat. I am Drew Jones. You can follow me on all social media at OKDrewJ.
And I am Chauncey K. Robinson, and you can follow me at Miss Chauncey KR on Twitter.
We'll see you guys next time.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.